What if your blood pressure was dangerously high, and you had no idea? High blood pressure is often called the silent killer, and for a very simple reason. Most people don't feel it. There is no clear pain, no obvious warning, no dramatic symptom that forces you to stop and pay attention. And yet, millions of people are walking around every day with elevated blood pressure levels, completely unaware. Until one day, something serious happens. A stroke, a heart attack, or long-term damage that could have been prevented. But here's the truth that most people don't realize. The body does send signals, not loud ones, not obvious ones, but subtle changes, small warning signs that are easy to ignore. Today we're going to talk about 7 signs your blood pressure may be too high, and the last one on this list is something most people never associate with blood pressure at all. Let's begin. The first sign is frequent headaches, not just occasional headaches, but recurring ones, especially in the morning. Some people wake up with a dull, throbbing pain in the back of the head. Others feel pressure that builds throughout the day. This happens because elevated blood pressure increases pressure in the blood vessels, including those in the brain. Over time, this can create tension and discomfort. Now, headaches can have many causes: stress, dehydration, lack of sleep. But when headaches become frequent, especially without a clear trigger, it may be worth paying attention. The second sign is dizziness or lightheadedness. This can feel like instability, a spinning sensation, or a feeling of weakness. Some people notice it when they stand up. Others feel it randomly during the day. When blood pressure is too high, it can affect the way blood flows to the brain. This can disrupt balance and awareness. Many people ignore dizziness. They assume it's fatigue, it's dehydration, it's nothing serious, but when it happens repeatedly, it may be a signal. The third sign is blurred vision. Your eyes are extremely sensitive to changes in blood pressure. They rely on tiny blood vessels to function properly. When blood pressure rises, these small vessels can become strained. Over time, this affects vision. People may notice blurred images, difficulty focusing, or visual disturbances. Sometimes it comes and goes, which makes it easy to ignore. But vision changes can be an early signal that blood pressure is affecting the body. The fourth sign is something many people experience daily: chest discomfort, not always pain. Sometimes it's tightness, pressure, or a strange sensation. High blood pressure forces the heart to work harder. Over time, this strain can affect the heart muscle, and that can lead to discomfort in the chest. Again, it may not feel severe, it may come and go, but that's exactly what makes it dangerous. And the fifth sign is shortness of breath. This can appear gradually. At first, only during activity, walking, climbing stairs, carrying things. But over time, it can happen even at rest. When blood pressure is elevated, the heart has to pump against greater resistance. This puts strain on the cardiovascular system, and the lungs may begin to feel the effects. Breathing becomes harder, more effort is required, and people often think, "I just need to exercise more." But unexplained breathlessness should never be ignored. The sixth sign is something people rarely connect to blood pressure: nosebleeds, not frequent, but unusual, especially if they occur without a clear reason. When blood pressure becomes very high, it can weaken small blood vessels, including those in the nose. This can lead to bleeding. Now, nosebleeds can happen for many reasons: dry air, injury, irritation, but repeated or unexplained nosebleeds may sometimes be linked to elevated blood pressure. At this point, something important becomes clear. None of these symptoms feel urgent. None of them scream danger. They feel manageable, small, temporary. And that's exactly why they are often ignored. Now, here's something that most people don't realize. High blood pressure doesn't always feel dangerous. In fact, most of the time, it feels like nothing at all. That's why it's often called a silent condition, Because while the body may be under constant pressure internally, externally, everything can seem normal. You can go about your day, work, walk, eat, sleep, and never suspect that anything is wrong. But at the same time, inside the body, something very different is happening. Let's talk about what elevated blood pressure actually does. Every time your heart beats, it pushes blood through your blood vessels. This creates pressure. That pressure is necessary. But when it becomes too high, it begins to damage the system. Over time, high blood pressure can strain the heart, damage blood vessels, reduce circulation, and affect vital organs, including the brain, kidneys, and eyes. But here's the key problem. This damage happens slowly, quietly, without obvious symptoms. That's why the early signs we talked about matter so much, because they may be the only signals you get before more serious problems begin. Now, let's go back to the symptoms, because there is one more sign we haven't discussed yet, and it's one of the most overlooked: unusual anxiety, or a feeling of unease. This doesn't always feel like stress. It can feel like something isn't right. A subtle discomfort. A sense that your body is under pressure. This happens because the cardiovascular system and nervous system are closely connected. When blood pressure rises, the body may enter a heightened state of alert, even if there is no clear external reason. Some people describe it as, "I just didn't feel normal," and they can't explain why. This is not something to ignore, because sometimes the body senses changes before the mind fully understands them. Now, here's something very important. Most people don't experience just one symptom. They experience several at the same time, and that's where the real signal appears. Because individually, a headache seems normal, dizziness seems harmless, fatigue seems expected. But together, they create a pattern that should not be ignored. Imagine this. You wake up with a headache. Later in the day, you feel slightly dizzy. You notice your vision feels a bit off. You feel short of breath when walking. And at night, you feel restless. None of these symptoms feel serious on their own, but together, they tell a story. And that story is that your body is under pressure. Literally. Here's another reason why people miss these signs. Because they come and go. They are not constant. One day you feel them. The next day you feel fine, and this creates a false sense of safety. People think, if it was serious, it wouldn't disappear. But high blood pressure doesn't behave like that. It can fluctuate, it can rise and fall, and symptoms may appear only when levels are elevated. Now, let's talk about risk, because this becomes more important with age. After 50, the body naturally changes. Blood vessels may become less flexible, circulation may slow down, and the risk of high blood pressure increases. Many people develop elevated blood pressure gradually, without noticing, because there is no clear moment when it starts. Here's something critical. High blood pressure is one of the leading risk factors for heart disease, stroke, kidney damage, but most people don't realize they have it until complications appear. And that's why awareness matters, because recognizing the early signs can give you time to pay attention, time to check, time to respond. Now, here's a simple way to think about it. Ask yourself, do I experience frequent headaches? Do I feel dizzy or lightheaded? Have I noticed changes in my vision? Do I feel short of breath more easily? Have I had unexplained nosebleeds? Do I feel unusual pressure or discomfort in my chest? Do I sometimes feel uneasy without a clear reason? If several of these are happening, it may be worth paying closer attention. Now let's be clear, not every symptom means something serious. But patterns matter, changes matter, repeated signals matter. Ignoring them is where risk increases. Your body is constantly communicating, through sensations, through discomfort, through changes in how you feel. The challenge is learning to listen. Because the most dangerous condition is the one you don't know you have. High blood pressure doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't force you to stop. It doesn't always create pain. It simply builds over time, until one day, the consequences appear. But the body gives warnings first. Subtle ones, repeated ones, signals that give you a chance to act early. And that's where awareness becomes powerful. Because once you start noticing these signals, you begin to see patterns. You begin to understand your body, and that can make a real difference in long-term health. If you take one thing from this video, let it be this. The most dangerous problem is the one that stays hidden. Your body is always giving you information. The question is, are you paying attention? If you found this video helpful, stay with our channel. We break down important health signals into simple, clear explanations so you can better understand what your body may be trying to tell you. And in the next video, we'll talk about something just as important. The early signs your arteries may be clogged, even if you feel completely normal. Make sure to stay with us so you don't miss it.